guys, FunnyGuyTimmy here. It is January, it's the new year. Really, there's not much to say. I mean, my New Year's, I don't really do anything for New Year's. I mean, and that was a while ago, but I don't really do anything for New Year's. I don't really like make a list because, you know, we all know no one really achieves their New Year's resolution list except for those annoying people. I don't do anything for New Year's, so I wasn't really out of town except for, I think I was doing like a gig or something like that. But it's a new year. Time to start fresh, time to start anew, and I wanted to go down some things that could probably help not just voice actors. I do a lot of stuff that's for comedians, for voice actors, for artists, for video creators, editors, writers, all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to do something that was for a list for other people, namely clients. And I made a little list of things that kind of bug me, that clients are on the regular doing. They're constantly doing. And this isn't really to say that they're doing it on purpose. Clients aren't doing these kinds of things on this list to annoy us, to drive us crazy because they're bad people. Most of it is just because they don't understand from our point of view. They don't understand where we're coming from. They don't see it through our eyes. So I wanted to go down some of these things, and this isn't all the things that has ever happened from communicating or working with clients that has kind of bugged me, but I made a list of some of the more crucial elements. And I wanted to give that from a voice actor's perspective. I wanted to actually address that from this side of the microphone. So let's get to it. So I did a video like this before, and it was kind of working on different websites or being a voice actor, various different websites where I went down like a list of things to change or do. So this isn't really anything different. These are things that happen a lot. And again, I think it's because no one really addresses it. There's tons of videos on how to get better as a voice actor. There's tons of experiences you can get being a voice actor, but nobody really learns how to be a client. Nobody really learns how to work with someone on the other side and pay them for a service. Yes, I know you're paying that person for a service, so you're like, they should do whatever I want them to. But that's one of the things. They really shouldn't. They shouldn't be doing anything that you want them to. They should be doing what they're capable of and what they can deliver for the price that they set. So the first thing that I'd like to say is the customer isn't always right. That's the first thing that I got to put out there. That phrase, the customer is always right, has been around for a while, and I'm positive the person who came up with it was a customer, not someone who made a product or provided a service. It was totally a customer. And it's very, very much wrong. I mean, the customer is the person that you're aiming to please as an artist or as a freelancer. That's true. Your goal is to please the customer or the client. But the customer isn't always right. The customer doesn't know what it is they're actually getting. Like, take for example, if they order a cheeseburger, they're getting a cheeseburger. But the cheeseburger isn't actually what they ordered. They ordered someone to go back into the kitchen, take the meat, season it, put it together, put it on the grill it, take the cheese, slice it if it's not already sliced, take the right kind of lettuce, take the lettuce, make sure it's crispy and not wilted or withered or whatever, put that on there, make sure it's got tomato if they wanted tomato, and all the condiments in there in the correct way to be the most delicious burger. That's actually what they're ordering. They're not ordering a cheeseburger, they're ordering a sequence of events. They're ordering a series of actions and a service that's being provided. So in that sense, the customer isn't correct because they see it on such a surface level. They see it as just the product or just the service, not as all the things that led up to that. So the customer's not always right. That's the first thing. Now, I could basically stop it there, but I'm not going to. As a client, as a customer, if you're ordering from an artist, from a writer, from a stand-up comedian, from a voice actor, be patient, especially when it comes to voice acting. I get a lot of clients that don't seem to understand that I work with other clients and am currently working with other clients at the time that they're talking to me. They're never the only client. They're never the only person that I'm talking to. Very rarely will they be the only person to contact me, email me, text me, message me. There's normally a lot of other people. There's normally a lot of other messages. And sometimes when they order, they could be 5 orders down on my to-do list. It wouldn't be fair for me to get to their order first and skip past the 5 other people that have ordered long before them. That would be very, very rude to 5 other people. So they need to be patient. If you're number 6 in line, be very patient. We try very hard to get down that list as fast as possible, to get through as many clients as we can in a day. So we're not ignoring you. We're not wasting time. We're working down the list. It's very hard to work down that list and constantly throughout voice acting, throughout the recording process, constantly be messaging. So if we don't respond, just give it a little bit. There was a couple clients a couple days ago that just kept messaging me over and over and over again. Most of their messages were asking why I wasn't responding. And I was like, hey, I'm recording right now. And they're like, oh, you're recording my thing? Cool. When is it going to be done? I'm like, I'm not recording yours. I'm recording someone else's. And they're like, can you do mine now? And it's the impatience that really, really bugs me. Just be patient. Be patient. You don't want us to rush your project. You don't want us to rush the voiceover. You want us to put the time and energy into it. Let's go back to the burger analogy. If the person in the kitchen was to rush your order, the meat isn't going to be cooked all the way. You'll probably get sick. Maybe they just grabbed lettuce randomly. It's just, the lettuce is just leather. It's just, you can't, it's not eatable. It's just soggy and flappy. There's no crisp to it. Maybe the bun was stale or had mold on it. You want them to take their time. Be patient. Now, this list isn't going to be in any particular order, so I'm going to get to one that really, after I wrote it down, I realized it should have been further down. It should be number 1. But again, I'm not doing this in any particular order. So, as a client, don't penny pinch. Yes, negotiations are a thing. They are very much encouraged. Most negotiations are actually beneficial for both parties. There's normally a really good give and take back and forth. There's lots of clients that I talk to that say, hey, our budget is this, even though what I would normally charge is a good bit higher. So I will cut it down to maybe like halfway between where they had their budget and mine. I'm like, what about this? If they say no, I'll be like, let me see what I can cut. And normally what it'll be is I'll cut elements of my service. If you guys have watched one of my older videos where I talked about my spreadsheet, where I have different things that I add to the list, a lot of times it'll be, I'll cut out charging for multiple takes. Now, when I charge for multiple takes, a lot of times it's because when I started doing that, it was because there would be a voice that was really hard on my throat. And if I did a lot of takes for a long period of time, a long script, and a lot of takes for that character, I would end up not being able to do really any other voiceover for the rest of the day. So I have to charge for that. But if it's a shorter script and it's not a voice that's hard on my throat, then I won't charge for multiple takes. So it really just kind of depends. So sometimes there are things that I can negotiate and there are some things that I can make a compromise with. But don't penny pinch. Penny pinch is very different. There's a difference between negotiating and penny pinching. And that gets us to the next point, to the third point, the third thing to not do, because this kind of moves right into it. Don't compare us to other voice actors. When you get an invoice or you get some kind of itemized receipt, don't immediately go, well, if I go to this person, they'll charge this. Of course you can find someone that's going to charge differently. Of course you are. You can do that for anything. You can do that for a doctor. You can go across the border or go to another country and get some black market, shifty doctor to do the surgery. It's not going to be in a clean environment and it's probably not legal. So you're making a compromise there. Also, not all voice actors are full-time voice actors, and not all voice actors have the same struggles and needs and charge for the same things. I do voice acting pretty much full-time. I do stand-up comedy as well, but voice acting is a large chunk of what I do. So it is one of my main sources of income. So I don't compromise as much on my rates because I need that to pay the bills, to keep the lights on and all this kind of stuff. Also, I have 8 to 10 years of voice acting experience. Maybe that guy doesn't. Maybe he hasn't been doing it as long. Maybe he's just doing it for extra cash. Who knows? You can't compare us. Also, I do a lot more voices and a lot more characters, and I've been doing acting for longer and have acting experience. Maybe he doesn't, so he's not including that in his rates. He's not including that in his fees. So comparing two voice actors isn't fair to you, and it's not fair to us. That's like, well, Jimmy's mom lets him stay up all night. Well, I'm not Jimmy's mom, so what about that? Now, this is another one it's kind of a smaller complaint, but it is something that I think is necessary to say, and it is use clear language. And I'm not saying a translation issue. I'm not saying if you're from another country and you're trying to translate and speak to me, that's fine. I have tons of respect and give tons of leeway when it comes to stuff like that. I'm very patient. I read very carefully and I try to ask questions if I don't understand. What I mean is if you do speak the same language as the person, take your time writing the message and try to think about what it is you're writing. A lot of times someone will send me a request or a message and they will ask for a style of voice, or they will send me some kind of description of what they're going for, and it doesn't make any sense. It's not in voiceover terms. It's not in acting terms. It's not in character terms. I'll give you a great example. We need a child who's overweight, who is sad and scared and skittish, but you can't have any kind of quiveringness in his voice. He can't do any stuttering. He needs to sound overweight, but had a very high-pitched voice, but no nasally sound. He needs to be well-spoken, but have kind of a speech impediment. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Most of those things very much conflicted with each other. And if you're going to do something like that, provide a reference. Provide some kind of example, because there's a good chance, because you're a client and you don't do voiceover, that you may not understand what it is you're asking of the voice actor. Like if I was to ask a mechanic to do a specific thing on my car, I don't know shit about cars. I don't know anything. If I was to ask him to do something and I'm just making up terms and I'm just making up things based on my complete and total lack of understanding and experience in cars, I'm going to confuse the hell out of him. And it's not going to help him at all. The best thing is to give very broad statements, very broad information. Now, it's fine to give a lot of information, but don't make it too specific. Just, we're looking for a kid character who is overweight and scared. Show us what you can come up with. And then if you have a reference, send the reference. And then see what the voice actor can come up with. See what the voice actor can do. Same thing if it was commercial. I get this a lot. We want the guy next door, very casual sounding voice. It's just conversational, so we don't want it sales pitchy, but we want it to have a larger than life sounding voice. I don't know what that means. I get that a lot, where they basically ask for, we want conversational, but we want it to sound like you're pitching a product. Those don't go together. Take your time sending the message. No rush, no hurry. We are not going anywhere. Send it when you feel like the message is ready, and read it over a couple times. Make sure it makes sense, and be ready for us to ask you questions. And if you can, find some reference. Any kind of reference definitely helps. Most of the clients that I have really good relationships with are ones that send me tons of references, because they know that that's the best way to communicate, especially when it's character work. And so just take your time. Try to use clearer language. Another thing would be very clear about your deadline. Now, this happens a lot on Fiverr, where the person has a deadline and they wanted it within 24 hours, but they don't let you know that. They don't give you the information, and they don't pay the extra 24-hour delivery fee. And then they get mad when you deliver it when you thought it needed to be delivered, and they never gave you that information. If you have a deadline, tell them the deadline. If the voice actor charges for 12 or 24-hour rush delivery, pay that. If you can't pay that, let them know. Then you do the negotiating. Don't try to not pay it and then expect it to be delivered real fast. That's not going to work. If you can't pay it and you negotiate with them and they said that's fine, it was like, I don't really have that many other things to do as of right now. I'm pretty much caught up on all my voiceover. It'll be totally fine. But talk to them. Ask them. Don't try to be sneaky about it. Be very clear about your deadline. I get tons of clients that will order, and because of the way it tallies it up, it'll be maybe 4 or 5 days on the turnaround time when it has to be turned around, especially on Fiverr. And I'll do everything else and I'll deliver it a day early. And then sometimes they'll be mad. They're like, hey, what took you so long? And I'm like, I didn't know you needed this sooner. I had all these other clients that I had to get through and get all those projects done. I didn't know you needed yours sooner than that. And sometimes they'll ask for a refund, or they'll be like, oh, fine, whatever. And it's annoying, but it's also not my fault. I would have totally been willing to figure something out and work something out with you, but you gotta tell us. You gotta tell us. And the last real point that I have is, if you write a script, make sure it's clear and try to send us a version of the script that we can edit. Not saying that we're going to change the words on it, but sometimes it's easier for us to add dashes or commas or move sentences to different lines to help us read it easier. I'll get it sometimes where the client will actually send me a photo, like an actual screen captured photo of a Word document. It really weirds me out. It's very rare, which is why I didn't put it high on my list. Normally it'll be like a PDF, and if you need to, you can just take it, copy it, and convert it into a different format that works for you. Or sometimes it'll be WordPad and everything's just across there, and you gotta convert that into a more readable format. Sometimes it's just sent in a message or in an email. There's no real real consistency with the scripts. And it's also really, really weird when it's a character project and there's no scene or action details. All it is a line, and I don't know who they're talking to. I don't know the situation. I can't work with that. I can't do anything with that. If you're wanting me to interpret a character's emotions and how the character would say these lines, I need to know what's going on around them. And that goes the same with most commercial reads as well. What is the product? Who am I talking to? Give us that information. Give us some visuals. Give us something that describes what's going on, especially if it was like a medical narration or any kind of commercial for a vacation or something like that, where there's going to be visuals going along with it. Give us information that we can visualize it and then properly match our vocal portrayal to what we think is going on. It's very, very difficult when we have nothing but the lines. It's fine if it's like telephony or just doing phone messaging or something like that. That's fine, because really we know who we're talking to. We're talking to whoever picks up the phone, whoever's asking. And the information is we're basically just sharing information over the phone, and that's the role that we're playing. And we understand that. But if it's anything more than that, if there's any visuals, if there's an emotion that's trying to be portrayed, give us more information. It doesn't have to be a screenplay. It doesn't have to be formatted properly. Just give us the right information and everything that pertains to the read. That's really what we need. Sometimes we don't get that. It makes our job harder, and then it makes it harder for you to get clients, whether through the commercial you're trying to pitch or trying to animate the character. It makes everyone's lives harder. So more information is better. Ultimately, the majority of these is understanding and information. That's the majority of the issues that I guess I have with some clients. Not all of them. Most clients that I have on are reoccurring clients, and so I have a good communication, a good rapport with them. But some new clients that come in every now and then, I can tell that they've never really worked on this kind of level, or they've never really worked with this kind of person or this kind of talent, and it does make it difficult sometimes. I try to be very patient with them. I try to help them out and ask as many questions as I can, but sometimes they don't want to answer questions. Sometimes I ask, who is this character? Who are they talking to? What's the scene? What's the emotion? And the client doesn't want to tell me, either because they're afraid that I will steal the script. If it's like a young person, that's normally what it is. They're afraid that someone's just going to steal their script, which is weird. We're not going to do that. So they don't want to share the information. So I end up just giving them a whole bunch of different reads because I have no idea what I'm doing. And they're like, well, none of these really fit. And I'm like, well, you didn't give me anything. And then the communicating with the fees. If our fees are listed, try to work within that and try not to penny pinch or haggle. And if you're working on Fiverr, don't place an order that is for notably less than what the voice actor is asking for that gig and expect them to just think that it's okay. If you have a budget, let them know, let them negotiate a lower rate. It's not on you to get a lower rate. So anyway, that was just some things that happen on a regular basis. I want to throw that out there. Maybe for the remainder of this year and going on into the future, we can all learn to just get along and communicate better, because that's what we want. We want good clients, and you guys want good talent. That's what this is about. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. If you're new, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications.